call meeting to order. Welcome to the City of Milpitas Planning Commission meeting on March 25th, 2026. I'd like to read the public comment instructions. Oral public comments may only be provided live during the Planning Commission meeting in person. All comments provided shall be limited to 3 minutes or less as determined by the chair. All public members will be limited to 1 comment per agenda item and 1 comment for non-agenda items. Members of the public may submit written comments by mail to planningdepartment@milpitas.gov. At this point, I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Planning Commissioner Castillo will lead us. Allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You might have noticed the Pledge of Allegiance was on the screen, so you could actually make use of it if you needed to. At this point, I'd like to start with the roll call. So, Ms. Marina, you want to please take the roll call?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair and Planning Commissioners and staff. I'll take attendance, starting with Commissioner Castillo.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown is absent this evening. Commissioner Colkins?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Awasti is absent this evening. Commissioner Galang?
Present.
Thank you. Vice Chair Kong is absent this evening. Chair Gupta?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I request now Attorney Creech to ask questions about conflict of interest declaration.
Thank you, Chair. I ask the Chair and each member of the Milpitas Planning Commission whether he or she has any financial or personal conflict of interest related to any of the items on tonight's agenda.
Commissioner Castillo?
None.
Commissioner Colkins?
None.
Commissioner Galang?
None.
Chair Gupta?
None.
Thank you.
I further ask the Chair and each member of the Milpitas Planning Commission to please disclose any campaign contributions of $100 or more received within the last 12 months from any of the parties entering into contracts with the city on tonight's agenda, or contributions received from development project applicants for development projects on tonight's agenda.
Commissioner Castillo?
None.
Commissioner Colkins?
None.
Commissioner Galang?
None.
Chair Gupta?
None.
Thank you.
Approval of the minutes for today, March 25th, 2026.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for March 25, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
So the minutes are approved. Let's
need a
move on
vote.
to,
We need a vote, Chair.
oh, we need a vote. Yeah, let's take a vote, please.
Commissioner Castillo?
Aye.
Commissioner Colkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Galang?
Aye.
Chair Gupta?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item is approval of the minutes for November 19th, 2025 and February 11, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for November 19th, 2025 and February 11th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote for the approval of the minutes, please.
Chair Gupta, may we do them separately because Commissioner Commissioner Castillo wasn't present in November.
Okay.
She is allowed, just to clarify,
Okay.
and we did have a clarifying amendment to the bylaws as well on this. Commissioners can approve meeting minutes if they have sufficient information to do so.
All right, in that case, let's do it together. Let's take a vote.
The November 19, I was not here. Can I still?
Yes, so that was, commissioners can approve meeting minutes even if they were not present at the meeting. Commissioners only need sufficient information to cast a vote in order to vote for or against any motion.
Thank you.
And yes, we can procedurally do two sets of minutes in one motion.
Liz, please go ahead with the vote.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Calkins, a second by Commissioner Castillo. Now the vote. Commissioner Castillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Calkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong,
Aye.
and Chair Gupta.
Aye.
Thank you.
Attorney Creech has a comment or?
No, I just wanted to say the microphone.
Yeah. Okay. Lillian, you have any?
No announcements. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
We do have one announcement from the secretary.
I just wanted to remind our planning commissioners that there is a commissioner recognition event. I believe it's on the 16th
Of April.
of April, yes, at 6 p.m. in the Milpitas Community Center. And invitees are those who served in year 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Medina. So let's move on to public forum. Members of the public are invited to speak on any item that does not appear on today's agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less at the chair's discretion. When called to speak, you're encouraged to state your name for the record. As an item not listed on the agenda, no action can be taken. However, the Planning Commission may instruct the staff to place the item on future meeting agenda. Now I'd like to invite members of the public to address the commission. Ms. Medina, are there any members of the public who wish to speak?
We have no speaker cards this evening, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, we will move on to public hearing. First item on that is Capital Improvement Program, CIP, General Plan Conformity, Finding. I'd like to now request Mr. Lehik Im, Public Works Engineering Division Manager, to make a presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Lee Ha-Im, Public Works Division Manager, overseeing the design construction sections and administering the City Capital Improvement Program. The purpose of tonight's presentation is for the Planning Commission to review the proposed 2027-2031 Capital Improvement Programs and adopt the resolution finding the program is in conformance with the adopt general plans. Next slide, please. Tonight's agenda, I will start off with an overview of the proposed capital improvement program. Then we will take a look at the general plan conformance and conclude with the recommendations. Next slide, please. First, we will briefly go over this year's capital improvement program with the calendars and the process. Staff presented the proposed capital improvement programs to the City Council on February 24 and received their feedback. Tonight, I will demonstrate how the proposed CIP is in conformance with the City General Plan. And next month, we will present the projects associated with the Park and Recreation improvement within the CIP to Park, Recreations, and Cultural Resource Commissions. And then staff will return back to the City Council in May 5th for the City Council consideration and the adoption of the 5-year programs. Next slide, please. Before diving into the budget discussions and the analysis, Here are an overview of what the Capital Improvement Program is. The program is a comprehensive 5 years budgeting and planning tool for the infrastructure's needs that is updated annually. The document identifies city priority capital projects for the new infrastructures, as well as the...
Sorry to interrupt you. The slide presentations aren't coming up on our screens properly.
Yeah,
They
that's
do
right.
appear,
We're not-
they do appear in back of you, though, if you want to follow along.
So the document identified the city priority capital projects for new infrastructures, as well as the replacements and repair of the existing infrastructures. It outlined the improvements, associated expenditures, funding sources, and the anticipated project schedule. The document is organized into 6 categories that include the community, park, street, water, sewer, and storm drain improvements. Only the funding requests in the first year of the program are funded, which will be effective starting July 1st. The project in the subsequent 4 years may be partially funded or not funded at all based on the funding resources. Next slide, please. Here are the City Council 7 budget priority which align with the elements of the general plan. The CIP is in conformance with this priority, which are the community, wellness and open space, economic development and job growth, environments, governments and administrations, neighborhood and housing, public safety, transportations, and transit. Next slide, please. During the budgeting process, funding requests for both existing and new projects are reviewed and prioritized by engineering and finance department. Each request is evaluated based on the council priority, legal mandate, health and safety need, grant eligibility, and many other key factors as listed on this slide. One is prioritized. The requests are reviewed with the city manager's office before final recommendations are presented to the city council for approval. Next slide, please. The 5-year capital improvement program that is brought forward tonight consists of 138 projects in the amount of $206 million. This slide includes the breakdown of the project cost and the corresponding number of the project in each category. The total cost of the city infrastructure improvement without the funding source in the last 4 years of the budget is estimated at $22.6 million. The cost is mainly associated with the improvement backlog in the community, park, and street category. Next slide, please. This slide summarizes the proposed funding for each category in fiscal year 26-27, which the funding will be available starting July 1st. Staff is recommending funding 39 projects for an estimated amount of $35.7 million. I will present these 39 projects in the next few slides. Next slide, please. Here are the 8 projects proposed to be funded in community category. Majority of the projects are for the upkeep of the city existing infrastructures. A total of approximately $1.1 million is being allocated for various building improvements, including the exterior painting of the Sacra-Clix buildings, on-call facility and maintenance and repair services, and the improvement to the HVAC system at Milpitas Sports Center, Fire Station number 3, and the Senior Center. The only new project recommended under this category is the implementation of real-time monitoring center for the police department, allowing them to use live data and technology to support the officer and investigations in real time. Next slide, please. Here are the 5 projects recommended to be funded in park category in the amount of $12.3 million. The design of the Metro Tango Sub-District Park is expected to complete early next year. The funding request is for the constructions and anticipate to start in 2028, pending the completion of the South Milpitas Boulevard extension projects. 2 new projects are being recommended. The first one is the pathway improvement at various parks to enhance the accessibility and comply with the ADA standards. The next project is for the Delano Manong soccer field artificial turf replacement. This project is to replace the existing natural grass at Delano Manong Park with artificial turf to support the year-round use and maintain the field quality. Next slide, please. Here are the 12 projects recommended to be funded in street category. Majority of these projects are for the annual maintenance and improvement to the city street infrastructures. There are 2 projects that I would like to highlight. The first one is the exit traffic safety improvements. The project provides for the installation of the retro-reflective backplate and leading pedestrian interval at all 72 city-owned traffic signal locations. The project is funded by a $2 million federal grant, which from local highway safety improvement program with the local match of $230,000, which is funded by gas tax. The next new project is for the roadway preservation program, which help to maintain and improve the city overall PCI rating of 70 or higher. The program will be used cost-effective treatment like slurry seal or cape seal to extend the pavement life and prevent further deteriorations. This treatment also help reduce long-term maintenance costs and avoid streets from falling into poor conditions, which would require much more expensive repairs. Next slide, please. Here are the 6 projects under water category in the amount of $3.4 million. Majority of this funding is for the assessment of the city water infrastructures and improvement of the fire flow capacity for the community as identified in the Adopt Water Master Plan. Next slide, please. The first table includes 6 sewer projects being recommended in the amount of $6.6 million. Approximately 70% of the funding is for the city contribution to the rehabilitation projects at the San Jose Wastewater Facility. Other projects are for the inspections of the city pipeline and improvements of the critical sewer line as identified in the Adopt Sewer Master Plan. The second table includes 2 projects under storm category. One of these is a new project that focuses on implementing citywide green infrastructures stormwater improvement projects that is required by the new state mandate to reduce stormwater pollutants, control runoff, and improve the local water quality. Next slide, please. Now we will review how certain projects in the CIP conform with the city general plan. Next slide, please. The city general plan identifies the community visions for the futures and provide the frameworks that will guide decisions on city growth, development, and conservation of open space and resources in the manner that is consistent with the quality of life desired by the city residents and business. In accordance with the California Government Code Section 65401, the Planning Commission is required to review the proposed CIP and report to the City Council on its conformity with the City of Milpitas Adopt General Plans 2024 or part thereof. As part of this process, staff review each project to ensure that it does not undermine the planning framework established in the general plan. Our review found that majority of the CIP projects will directly advance the goal and the policy as specified in the general plans, whereas other projects will focus on essential infrastructure improvements or operational needs. Overall, in accordance with the government code, staff had determined that the proposed CIP is inconsistent with the general plan and will further its goal, policy, and implementation strategy. In the next few slides, we will highlight the applicable general plan elements and identify key projects that support the goal and policy of those elements. Additional details are included in the staff report. Next slide, please. Let's begin with the land use element. Staff found that several projects on the CIP support the goal and the policy of these elements. That include the Innovation District Park and Trail Master Plan, Milpitas Gateway Main Street Specific Plan, Impact Fee Study and Sense of Place Plan, Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, and the Metro Specific Plan, and the Metro Impact Fee. These projects support update to the city zoning ordinance, help implement the visions of the Main Street Specific Plan. Overall, they guide land use planning and support the development of the vibrant mixed-use community along the Main Street corridor. Next slide, please. This slide includes the list of the projects that support the circulations element. It includes the annual sidewalk repair program, bicycle improvement projects, SS4A improvements, streetlight signage, traffic signal improvements. This project improve the accessibility and safety of the bicyclists and pedestrian of all ability by constructing and improving infrastructure such as sidewalk, repair, installing striping and signage, which align with the circulation element goal and policy. Next slide, please. Additional projects that support the circulation elements are included in this table. For example, the Lano Manong pedestrian bridge, South Milpitas Boulevard extensions, street resurfacing project, and roadway preservation program. This project focus on constructing and maintain the city transportation infrastructure to enhance mobility, safety, and connectivity. Next slide, please. The following are the list of the projects that further the goal and the policy for the community design elements. The construction of the pedestrian bridge and vehicle bridge, and various park renovation and improvements such as Metro Tango Sub-District Park, Senate Park Playground renovation projects, and the Delano Manong Park. This project improve the pedestrian and bicycle mobility between the transit area, school, park, and the residential neighborhood, and provide a safe, comfortable, and enjoyable passive and active recreation opportunity for parks for the community. Next slide, please. Other projects that also support the community design elements include Calaveras Medium Beautification Projects, City Hall fountains and landscape renovations, Milpitas Gateway Main Street Impact Fee and Sense of Place, and the Gateway Signage projects. These projects enhance the visual characters of the city and strengthen the community identity. Next slide, please. These are the list of the projects that contribute to achieving the goal and the actions of the economic development elements. The project like Metro Linear Trails, South Milpitas Boulevard Road extensions, annual sidewalk repair program, and the bicycle improvements help improving sidewalk, trail, and road networks to ensure adequate and convenient access to commercial and employment area which align with the general plan. Additionally, there are several projects within the Main Street area that help supporting the revitalizations along Main Street as specified in the general plans. Those projects include the Main Street Utility Undergrounding, Main Street Streetlight projects, and the Main Street Gateway Specific Plan updates, Impact Fee Study, and the Sense of Place Plan. Next slide, please. Next slide, this one is for the conservation and sustainability elements. Projects such as the Montague pedestrian overcrossing and the bicycle improvement projects promote alternative transportation options, which help reduce vehicle mile travel and lower greenhouse gas emissions. Other initiatives support sustainability include Climate Action Plan, Community and Senior Center Energy Resilient Projects, Hammond Way Solar Streetlight pilot programs. Next slide, please. The CIP also includes several projects that support the utility and community service elements. In water category, the projects such as Santa Clara Valley Water District Water Reservoir and Pump Stations, well upgrade, and the Pinewood Well Facility Rehabilitation projects help ensure the city maintain an adequate, reliable, and safe water supply for existing and future developments by pursuing additional water supply sources and maintain existing groundwater. Another project includes aging water system and seismic improvement, Dempsey Road water line replacement, minor water projects will help replacing aging water infrastructures to ensure safe drinking water system for the community. The CIP also includes water conservation programs such as water leak detections, pipeline and facility condition assessment, which help reduce water loss and improve system efficiency. Next slide, please. Here are a few other projects under the storm and sewer category that contribute to the goals of these elements. The projects such as the storm drains system rehabilitation projects, on-call storm maintenance repair, technology dry utility and road improvements, and the Main Street flood study will help to support the maintenance and improvement of the city's storm drain system. Other projects in sewer category that include the sewer pump station rehabilitations, minor sewer projects, sanitary sewer CCTV inspections, and pipeline improvement phase 1 and 2, and the force main A projects. We help maintain the existing sewer main, extend the lifespan of the system, and ensure a safe and reliable sewer system for the city. Next slide, please. Here are the projects that contribute to the goal of the safety element under various CIP category. Projects such as fire stations improvements, fire station number 1 modular building, and the public safety disaster plan update, and support the repair and renovation of the fire station facility, and help ensure that the city is prepared to respond to emergency situations. Additionally, several projects under the water category, including the fire flow interconnections and pipeline improvement phase 1 and 2, we upside the water main in accordance with the Adopt Water Master Plan to ensure adequate water supply for the fire suppression throughout the city. Other infrastructure projects, including the city bridge improvements, street pavement restriping, street resurfacing project, and the Main Street flood study, help maintain the city road and bridge, improve traffic safety, and reduce flood risk to protect the community. Next slide, please. The last element that we are reviewing is the project that contribute to the goal and the actions of the park, recreations, and open space elements. There are several projects in CIP that help develop and maintain the high-quality city park and recreation system to serve the community. Those projects include Metro Tango Sub-District Park, Senate Park Playground renovation projects, Sandalwood renovations, and the bleacher replacements and ADA improvements. Additionally, the project like the Lano Manong pedestrian bridge and the Metro linear trail support the development and enhancement of the public trail and linear parks through collaboration with private developers and partnership agencies, including Santa Clara Valley Water District. Next slide, please. In summary, the Capital Improvement Program outlined the 5 years program for a variety of public infrastructure projects, and it includes associated scheduling, financing, and related detail. As shown by the analysis and incorporated into the agenda report and the presentations, the city proposed 2027-2031 Capital Improvement Program is in conformance with the city general plans. Next slide, please. The recommendations for today's item is first to open and close the public hearing, and then adopt the resolution number 26-006, finding the proposed 2027-2031 Capital Improvement Program is in conformance with the City of Milpitas general plans. This concludes my presentations, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice presentation. I have a few questions, but I'll have other commissioners ask the questions first, and I'll ask my questions in the end. So are there any questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I have one just around. So I appreciate the presentation very much. There's a lot of details in it, and I do like a lot of the plans that I saw in here. Just kind of curious, I realized you said the initial year funding is taken care of already, but in the future, looking at like the 5-year plan, $25 million or so of future needs. Is there a plan in place as to where that's going to come from?
Thank you, Commissioner, for the questions. So as Kha mentioned that this is a 5-year budgeting planning process. The first year is fully funded. From year 2 to year 5, some projects might be fully funded, some might not, depend on the funding resources. And as you mentioned, there are like a shortfall of 22.6 million for the last 4-year budgets. So some of those unfunded projects, it can be funded by the general government CIP fund. Normally, we don't know how much that we have until the funded year. So every year, so next year, we're going to start to look into it again. We're going to reevaluate it. We're going to take a look if there are any new money that come in, because some of the funding source, we don't know. It's just uncertain. For example, like some of the projects in park category, which is mainly funded by park fund. So those park fund is generated by the developer fee. So this year, we might not have enough funding to fund those projects, but next year, our park fund might increase, so we have those enough budget to fund those shortfall. Additional funding, so we continue to seek for the grant funding to make sure that we close that loophole as well.
Thank you.
I wanted to piggyback a little bit on that also. There's certain funds that we can't predict, or we assume that we're not going to get until we get them. But there are other funds like related to the water or street funds that we know are projections in the future years. So we project those into years 2 to 5. So typically when the unfunded money, we believe there's a possibility that it'll be there in those years, but we have to wait until that year comes about to see if it's there. So it's not always guaranteed. So that's why you see an unfunded amount in the out years.
Gotcha. And I do see what you're saying with water and sewer and those ones, how they're funded. I was just curious, kind of the community one, which is one of the big goals too, has a huge unfunded liability.
Yeah, because that's based on the general fund. And that's always the most challenging fund to predict. It goes from year to year. Where the sewer and water funds, we know we're going to get that because it's based on revenue and rates that we get on a yearly basis that we project out already. Mm-hmm.
Other questions, Mr. Gulan?
Yes,
Commissioner Gulan?
Yeah, I think in page 5, this is the projected CIP expenditure and the funding available needs per fiscal year over the next 5 years. Based on fiscal year, my question is on year 2027, 2028, so total expenditure of 70 million, and then projected funded available 57 million, and then funding needs 12 million, and then compared to 2028, 2029, 30 to 31 is lower compared to 27 and 28. Why is that?
So I just want to clarify, make sure I understand your question. So your question is that why the expenditure for fiscal year 27, 28 is way higher than the other year out? Okay. So basically, I mean, there are several high-profile projects that really costly for the fiscal year 27, 28. For example, I believe they are like the Force Main A projects. That is a total of 20 million. That is for the construction of the city force main that basically that is collect all the sewer from the city of Milpitas, transported to the city of San Jose. So that project alone is 20 million that we scheduled to do the construction in fiscal year 27, 28. So that is the $20 million projects there. And there, I believe there are some other projects that, not on top of my head, but I believe there are like some of the park improvement project. We have like 2 or 3 millions in that column. So it's just about the scheduling.
So who funded, who's going to pay for the 12 million? Where'd you get that?
For the 20 million, right now we are planning to go out for the bond or maybe some financing because right now there's no identified funding. We're going to work with finance department to see if we can go out for the bonding and financing their projects.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? Okay, in that case, let me ask some questions myself. So one question relates to while the report finds CIP consistent with the general plan, but it acknowledges some projects focus on operational needs rather than directly advancing general plan goals. Can you clarify which projects or types of projects fall into this category where you might be actually drawing resources away from high priority policy goals in the general plan, like conservation and sustainability?
Thank you, Chair, for the questions. So as Kha mentioned that the goal of this presentation, we want to make sure that the CIP is in conformance with the city general plan. It means that as long as we have the CIP doesn't undermine the planning frameworks of the general plans, which means that we want to make sure that the projects will, some of the projects will help to further advance the goal and the policy of the element as shown in the general plan. as Kyle mentioned, we can only find majority of the project we advance the goal, but some of the project we only focus on those operation needs. And your question is like, what type of project that fall into that operation needs? So I mean, I can give you one example. It's for example, like the HVAC repair for the city hall. That is not really advance any goal of the general plan, but it's the operation needs that have to be part of the capital improvement program. For example, the elevators at the city hall, that right now have some problems. So that's going to be built out of CIP projects. And again, that project is not really advance any goal of the element, but it does not undermine the goal or strategy of the general plans. So with that say, our CIP should be in conformance with the general plans elements.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that it's conforming to the plan depending on how you look at it. But the point is that if most of the funding is used in the operational needs, right, or maintenance type needs, then the strategic objectives of the general plan may not really come about. So aren't you concerned about that?
I'll answer to that. So the CIP is not set up where the goal is to meet everything in the general plan. It's to meet the needs of the city, primary, and to be sure that the infrastructure is built to provide the necessary service to the city. So if there are projects that align with the general plan, then we identify them and say, yeah, these projects, certain projects, advance the general plan. And that's what we're defining. So we don't have, when we develop the CIP program, we don't have an eye on the general plan. We have an eye on infrastructure needs. That's the primary goal. Where we get the investments or all the revenues that we look at, we're going to put those revenues where they need to be funded for certain projects. And it's more on the maintenance and replacement and ensuring that our facilities and our infrastructure meets the needs to our community. Now, what's part of the CIP is that we have projects that do advance certain aspects or elements or policies of the general plan. But not all the CIPs are going to align with not align, but is going to have a focus on the general plan. Is that?
I understand your viewpoint. That's okay.
And Chair, may I add kind of a legal part of it? Structurally, the general plan goes to guiding community development, which is only one of the policy goals that the council passes. The council, in passing a CIP budget, is effectuating all policy goals. The general plan conformity finding asks if the CIP does is consistent with the general plan, but it doesn't mean that the only function of the CIP budget is to fill objectives in the general plan. It just asks for where this CIP budget is stepping into that area to be consistent with it. Let me try that again to see if I can make it a little bit simpler. The city's policies and objectives are broader than the general plan. It is but one document. And so by the same token, the city's CIP budget is broader than the objectives of the general plan. Asking that the budget be consistent with the general plan does not mean that all portions of the CIP budget are related to community development, nor should be.
Okay, I understand your interpretation. Yeah, I understand. So other question relates to this report notes that there were no public inquiries at the time of writing. Given the overall citywide impact of these projects, are you taking additional steps to ensure that the residents understand how these multi-million-dollar investments will affect their specific neighborhoods? Or
I want to clarify the question. So you kind of want to see that what is the public involvement in the development of the CIP?
how the CIP, whether the public also understands and don't have any serious objections to the CIP plan.
So basically, as Kyle mentioned earlier, this CIP process is developed, internally, first of all, with each department head reviewed by finance department, engineering departments, and we also further discuss with the city manager's office. And one, we believe that is good to go to the city council for recommendation approval. We go to have this council study session, which is a public forum. So when we go to the study session, we have the public hearing. The community are welcome to make the comment if they have any questions. Last year we do have public come up to make some comments, express their concern, certain projects they would like to request for funding for some projects. So that is a public forum. We welcome the community to make that involvement on that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, one other thing, that the CIP is developed on what happens throughout the year also, and at the direction of the council. And the council, of course, takes in public comment, and they relay what they're looking in the CIP also. So we do develop the CIP with the communities, not directly, but indirectly, their concerns that they make to the council. And we hear that, and we also budget those things appropriately as we hear them through other means.
Understood. Next question is, you allocated $4.5 million for, that was 6118 project for regional wastewater facility, the sewer related project. Can you elaborate what that project is? Does that have anything to do with the famous odor problem that we have in Milpitas?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So basically, as I mentioned earlier regarding the Force Main A projects a little bit, so the city doesn't have any treatment plan. So all the sewage that throughout the city, it bring it to the main lift station, and then we transport using Force Main A to pump into the San Jose wastewater treatment plant. So this CIP, that budget that we show in this file is based on the number that provided by the city of San Jose for the rehabilitation of their facility. We need to pay our fair share because we use that facility to treat our wastewater. So this is the capital improvement budget that we need to pay our share to improve the facility.
So, this problem that I mentioned, is there anything being done? That seemed to be the biggest problem that we have in Milpitas. Is environmental related problem, is safety problem. I think, I don't know if anything is, whether that's being addressed, whether that's being, every problem should have a solution, especially these days with so much technology. Mm-hmm. I'm sure other cities elsewhere must have solved that problem. So have you actually put that on high priority and see if anything can be done? Maybe approached the congressman, Rokhana about it, get some funding, whatever is required. It's a problem that not caused by Milpitas, caused by San Jose and Santa Clara, but we are the sufferers, right? And so I'd like to see if you want to address that issue, if anything is being done, or it's just we have given up and nobody's going to do anything.
So I'm going to go back what I think I heard at the beginning, because it's the key to your question as after he responded, is about the odor that comes off the landfill. Is that correct? Okay. So 6118, just to be clear, is for the capital improvement rehabilitation of the entire plant. That has nothing to do with the odor. It's actually the odor comes from the landfill, which is also San Jose's. And they've put in several monitoring, they have taken several steps to control that odor as best as they can. Unfortunately, you get a windy day in a certain direction, you will smell that odor. That's just the bottom line. Has it improved? It has. The city, at our own main lift station, has put in odor emissions control to lessen the odor that comes out of our lift station, that we have the control of it. So it kind of helps that. Now, like I said, are we always going to eliminate an odor from a landfill or a public or the plant? Probably never. I've been alive nearly 50 years and lived in San Jose, and on certain days you will smell that odor. Has it improved? I believe it has. So there has been certain steps that San Jose, Milpitas, and the county has done to minimize that odor.
So you're not aware of any solution to this problem that can eliminate it completely?
Probably not. Probably not.
So how the other cities are taking care of it? It must be similar issue, or everybody is living with this order. I only heard about Milpitas from all the neighboring cities.
Repeat your question again?
This problem seems to be only in Milpitas. I've not
is.
seen that anywhere else in
It
Silicon
is,
Valley.
but there's at times where I live in San Jose, it does reach there. Like I said, it depends on the wind and certain times of the year, especially during the summer months when those areas get a little bit hotter. But they have tried to control it as best they can. Unfortunately, they built a landfill where they built it, and the plan is where we built it. Have they attempted? Has San Jose attempted to control the odor? They have, but unfortunately, this has been installed or been there for several years, even before we
Yeah.
existed.
Okay, moving on. I want to kind of peel the onion a little bit and go down a level more, because you have all these numbers. Something costs $1 million or $2 million. All these numbers are there. It's difficult for us to evaluate whether those numbers are high or low or whatever, right? So one question that comes to mind is, what is the burdened or loaded hourly rate that you charge for your staff time? And that's one question. Let's start with that. Then I'll kind of expand on that.
Chris, I'll need your opinion. Is that something that we can provide them?
That information is information that we can provide.
Okay.
If we have it. If we do not have it,
No.
then we can't provide inaccurate information
Okay,
at a
fair enough.
public forum.
Just confirming. So I don't have that. That would be a finance question.
I mean, it's public knowledge. I mean, your schedule of fees, at least for the planning department, that document, which is on the website, that shows that hourly staff rate is $267 an hour. In fact, if you just do search on ChatGPT, it'll tell you the hourly rates of just about all the cities. And it turns out that Milpitas has one of the highest rates, if not the highest rate, in all of Bay Area. So I was wondering how that rate is arrived at. I mean, you start with the basic salary, average salary of staff, and then you have overheads, right? And all that calculation is done, and finally you come up with the rate. So the point is, if your hourly rate is more than other cities, your projects is going to be also more expensive. Same project over here may be more expensive than same project in other cities where the hourly rates are lower. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
With one legal distinction, the rate paid on public works projects is prevailing wage, which is not tied to employee salaries. So most work that the city performs for capital improvement projects are done through contracted work.
Yeah, in fact, going to be my next question, in the sense that I understand most of the projects are contracted out, but their staff time is also used to interact or get the work done. So staff time cost does come into account, right? I mean, you're trying to figure out the cost of a project. You calculate the cost of the staff, and then you calculate the cost, contracted out cost, right? I mean, does that?
I guess that's a question for you all. Do the numbers that you have for the CIP budget reflect staff time costs?
Yes.
Yep.
So how do you arrive at the final project costs? Can you just elaborate on that? How do you project? You say this project costs $4.5 million. This project costs $1 million. You must have arrived at that from all the calculations that you made.
We do an analysis of the project, determine what the improvement costs will be. Then from that improvement cost, we apply a certain percentage that we more or less know what it'd be for staff time or design time. And then we come up with the entire project budget.
Okay. So you do have that I mean, that's how you arrived at, you have all those worksheets which tell you
Correct.
how you arrived at the project cost, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that does involve some staff time and staff cost
Yes.
in the calculation.
Yes. A project is based off not just on improvements. You have staff time, you have design time, you have soft costs.
Yeah.
It's like anything else when it comes to, there's always overhead on everything.
Yeah, of
And to
course.
do, we're just not paying for improvements. Here, of a project budget, when a part of our team in the engineering, we budget for the engineer that spends time on it, the designer that we hired to spend time on it, in addition to the construction cost. That's kind of the three categories of a project budget.
Yeah. Just to take one example, I won't take that much more time, just another minute or so. Let's take one example to put a street light in the city of Milpitas, not the traffic light. I'm talking about street light on just any street where there's dark and somebody requests a street light. So how much does the street light cost?
Brand new street
The
light?
city, yeah.
Probably 10,000.
10,000.
Just the pole.
With the pole, yeah, with the pole and a regular light, not
I'll be
solar
full
light.
burden, you're probably looking at $15,000.
Okay, that sounds reasonable to me, but I know some applicant applied for street light, and that applicant was told that it cost the city $200,000. That's why they didn't encourage doing anything like that. So I don't know where that number came from. That way too high, cost $200,000 for a street light.
There could be other factors involved that they have to pull electric to the pole.
Yeah.
You just specifically just said about the street light. There could be PG&E costs. I don't know what the scope of work. So you have to identify the scope of work to have an appropriate budget. When you mentioned just a street light, I was just thinking replacing kind street light, 15 grand.
Yeah, I mean, what he mentioned, the 15 grand is only construction cost. If you need to design, there's another cost associated with that. If you need to trench like 1,000 feet from PG&E transformer to street light, there's additional cost for that. So we need to know really clear, 200,000 might be the actual cost, is we need to bring 1,000 conduit installed across this road. So
Yeah, I'm sure all of that must have been taken into account when we got the response. That will cost $200,000. So it's, city can't afford it, or at least they didn't encourage doing that project. So I mean, these days you can get solar-based lights, and I know places where people have put in their solar lights with 20, 25 feet pole and nice lights, lightens up the street, and cost them less than $2,000. So my point is that looking at costs is very important when you're trying to come up with the budget or project costs, right?
Yeah.
If costs are optimized, you can do more projects, or you can do the same projects with a lot less cost.
yeah.
So that you have to move with the times. And these days, going with solar-based lights, I think you can achieve that with, relatively speaking, as I said, 2,000 versus 200,000. A big difference, right?
Yes, since you can mention about that, I mean, I want to highlight the project that we just finished. That is basically for the street light. So, I mean, as part of our capital improvement program, design construction, we did do those analysis when the capital improvement program come in. For example, like Harmon Way street light, we did do analysis between the traditional street light, which is we need to bring the power from PG, doing the trenching. The cost estimate is come up about 400,000 to install maybe 6 or 7 street light.
Okay.
So we do that analysis and compare with the solar street light. It's a cost about 100,000. So that is the analysis we did, and we go to the council to recommend go with the solar street light, which is cost only 100,000. So yes, we did. I mean, when there's a project need, we do those analysis, feasibility study, what is the most cost-effective approach that we can use the city limited budget effectively.
Yeah, okay. So I guess when you say even 6 solar-based streetlights cost $100,000,
Yep.
that's something, I know people are doing it for less than 2,000, and they're 25 feet, big streetlights. So I know city has different ways of calculating costs and so on. It always comes into play, but there's a big difference when some homeowner spending their own time to get the streetlights done versus what the city has to spend.
One other thing I want to point out that Acting City Attorney Khan mentioned, all the public projects have to be prevailing wage. That's another thing that the cost is more expensive than the open shop. If you go to private, the cost may be 1,000, for example. If it's public project for prevailing wage, the same contractors, but because you work for the public projects, your cost is going to be maybe 1.5 of that cost or double the cost. So it's the prevailing wage is a state requirements that we have to pay.
Yeah, okay, well, that may be part of the problem. But anyway, that's okay. So anybody else now thought of new questions? Do we have a motion to move forward with this recommendation?
Sorry, we need public comment first.
Yeah, is there any public comment?
Chair, there are no speaker cards for this agenda item.
That's fine, thank you. Okay, so given that, we can move on and is there any motion?
Question. Sir, you mentioned earlier that every time you have a project, do you get the contractor from outside city?
Yes, most of our capital improvement project, we hire the contractor to perform the works. But if there's some maintenance, I mean, for sure, its operation is ongoing maintenance of the city facility. We have in-house operation staff doing the work. But most of the capital improvement project that are listed in here, it's we hire the design consultant to design, and then we go out to bid and get the contractor to perform the construction work.
So you go from bidding also, right?
That's correct. Bidding, we go with the lowest bidders, and we award the contract according to that.
Okay. Okay. So from like 5 years ago, how about the charges? Is it getting higher every time you hire them? How?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Like, for example, the charges are different, like every year are different.
Yeah, basically it depends on the market. I mean, sometimes for example, like during COVID, the price go up quite a bit and then it start to go down. And this year around, I think like 3 or 4 months ago, when we go out to bid, we get a fairly good amount of bid and with the very reasonable cost. But we foresee that with the ongoing war between the United States and Iran, with the gas price increase, we can see that the bid gonna go up a little bit more. So it's really fluctuate and depend on the market. And part of the public contract code, we're gonna go out to bid, we're gonna choose the lowest bid. Whoever give us the lowest price, we have to award the contract to them, assuming that they are responsible, their package, they qualify, meet all the requirements as stated in our contract documents.
So when it comes to bidding, how do you inform the public if you have a bidding?
So as part of the bidding process, we prepare the contract document that include the specifications and the plan drawing. Then we post it on the newspapers, so 2 times on newspaper, inviting to bid so that people can know. And we also post on the plan room, which is kind of one central location where the contractor go there and see the project and they submit the bid for us. We also post on our OpenGov website, which is a city platform, post all the bids. And any contractor that might be registered with the city, interested in any project, they will get notification or alert when we post new projects.
Do you have a board who will approve the bidding? Who are the member of the board to approve the bidding?
It's the city council.
Okay.
So when we receive the bid, we evaluate it. If they are the responsive lowest bid, we will go to the city council and recommend the city council to award the contract.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you just get 3 bids typically and then compare the bids, or what's the process?
Not necessarily 3 bids, it's whatever amount that we receive. So sometimes recently I received 14, 15 bids. So it's very good market, so very competitive. Sometimes the project scope might be not many expertise. You might receive only 2 bids, 3 bids. sometimes you even receive one bid. So you don't know. And there's no limit or constraint to how many bid that we should receive.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Are we? So is there any motion then to recommend or approve this project?
Chair, just for the record, are you closing the public hearing?
Okay, yeah, I thought I did.
Okay.
We'd like to close the public hearing at this point in time, and that requires a motion to close the public
It does
hearing?
not. We updated the bylaws to clarify that. The chair can close the public hearing.
Okay, I close the public hearing then without any motion, without any vote. Okay, all right. So now we move on to the recommendation. Is there a motion to recommend this project?
Yeah, I make a motion to adopt resolution number 26-006, finding the proposed 2027 to 2031 capital improvement program as in conformance with the City of Milpitas general plan.
I'll second.
Vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Castillo,
Aye.
Commissioner Culkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Galong,
Aye.
Chair Gupta.
Aye.
Thank you.
Grill you a little bit with some questions.
No problem. Thank you.
You guys have a good night.
All right, we move on to new business. I don't see any items for new business. So there's nothing else. We can close the evening. We can adjourn, but I have supposed to read this statement before we do that. Any person aggrieved by any final decision of any board, commission, or department head to the City of Milpitas may appeal the decision to the City Council, filing written notice of the appeal within the City Clerk within 12 calendar days of the date of said decision, and paying the required fee. This time limit shall be strictly enforced. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We also updated the bylaws to clarify that you do not need a motion to adjourn the meeting. The chair can adjourn the meeting.
Oh, like your new bylaws, yeah. And anything that improves the process or simplifies is welcome. So in that case, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. To adjourn the meeting? No, that's just easy to explain, not required anymore.
Yeah, so that was when